So at a glance, the numbers are quite staggering. When we look at numbers, 35.3 billion ringgit that we need to make up for. You spoke to some experts. Are they worried?
Not at the moment. Everyone is very excited. They want to see this new budget because we've never seen a budget coming out from the Pakatan Harapan government yet. And the challenges are quite huge, and we have not only we have 1 trillion that we need to replace quite a big sum of revenue. 23 billion down from replacing the GST with SST, and on top of that, you have the 19 billion missing from the GST input tax refund, and there's also the 16 billion owed to income tax in terms of income taxes and also property tax. Those are money that's owed to the people and businesses, and when we don't know how they're going to all the money is going to be refunded yet. Some of it's going to be set net off against future taxes. But all that means less revenue for the government potentially next year. And but the good part is that those money is going to be back in to people's hands, and businesses. Hopefully, that would help boost consumption as well as private investment. So that's the positive part.
Now, a lot have been done by the Pakatan Harapan government. You know, they want to run a tighter ship. They have actually shrank the ministries as well. They are having fewer ministries, but when we see cutting spending by the government, right, it's not going to be more effective than finding more revenue for the government. We are talking about, you know, implementing sin taxes, soda tax. What are the chances of having all these taxes around?
Certainly, a lot of taxes are being considered for implementation. One thing's for sure, the government needs to find new revenue sources because there's a lot of spending that is needed. We also need to pay down 1 trillion worth of that, and before that is paid down, it's hard to save any money in the kitty. And the government's, the country's needs, especially if the government wants to broaden the social safety net, that needs a lot of money.
It's going to be very interesting to look at the budget this year.
Yes.
Right? So they call it zero-based budgeting, which means we are going to revamp the whole thing, not going to tweak here and there from the previous budget. But it seems that, you know, government cannot run away from borrowing more if you want to run the country. But not all that is bad, is it?
Borrowing itself is not necessarily bad, provided you can find enough gains, enough returns to justify that borrowing. But for Malaysia, because we have this sizable amount of debt, already about 31 billion goes into debt servicing charges, that's interest payments last year, and next year it could well be 33 billion, and that's easily 10-15% of government revenue. So what that means is, because a lot of money is already going into servicing that, the money that you borrow, the returns that comes from it needs to be a lot more.
So the thing is, we can continue to borrow as long as we have confidence to pool to attract investors to this region, as long as we can convince them that we can pay our debt, isn't it right?
That's what some people subscribe to. But if you hope to build a kitty, if Malaysia hopes to have something like Singapore, to have certain amount of money saved away, and that amount of money generating certain percent of returns to bolster the government's revenue and budget, then we need to definitely start paying down our debt and save some money away. Because as it is, like I think Dr. Mahathir has said, that paying interest itself could actually bankrupt us.
Yeah.
So, and it is a very ineffective use of revenue, because that's like 10-15% of government revenue going into interest payments. So surely something has to be done.
Our Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng, he's going to table a brand new budget on November 2nd, right? It's going to be a budget that we have never seen before. You have talked to some of the experts in the market. What do they think, how this brand new budget look like in the weather?
Okay, expectations are that the government will keep budget deficit at 2.8% of GDP, if not better. For that to happen, there needs to be quite a sizable spending cut. Judging by just the potentially lower revenue that Malaysia is going to see next year. So people are hoping that zero-based budgeting would deliver the kind of expenditure cuts. Of course, then that would help deliver the 2.8% deficit. Yeah.
For more on the stories, pick up a copy of The Edge Weekly at all good newsstands.